Hello and welcome to my practical man-in-the-middle attacks course. In this course, we're going to talk about all the attacks that you can run against the devices connected to our network. So basically, we will be connected to a network and there are other devices connected with us to this network. And then we're going to see all the attacks that we can launch on these devices. So we're going to be able to capture any type of data that is sent within our network, whether this data is passwords, URLs, videos, images, messages, anything that any device does on the internet within our network, will be able to capture it. Not only that, but we'll also be able to modify this data before it reaches the target device. So for example, we can, when a target device looks for a website, for example for Facebook, we can actually serve them a fake Facebook website or just redirect them to another website. All these attacks are possible because of a weakness in the ARP protocol. When this protocol was programmed, it was programmed in a way that it has a weakness where we can run these attacks without interacting with any of the target devices. So we won't have to send any keyloggers or Trojan horses to these devices. We'll be able to steal all their passwords, cookies, URLs, whatever they do on the internet without interacting with the users. We will be interacting with the devices, but the users won't be aware of that interaction. Now, these attacks are practical attacks, so they actually work, and I'm going to be running them onto real devices within my lab. They work on any device as long as it's connected to a network. So it's going to run on phones, tablets, computers, whether they run Linux, Mac OS, or Windows. Basically, just because all of these devices use ARP, which has this flaw. I'd like to note that in this course, we're not going to talk about breaking into networks. So cracking the WIP or WPA keys. I have a different course talking about that. You can check it out by clicking on my courses. But in this course, we're going to assume that you are connected to a network. So whether this network is a wired or a Wi-Fi network, you should have connection to the network. So you should be able to successfully connect to the network. Then you'll be able to run these attacks. So we're going to start talking about network basics. In this, we're just going to talk about how devices in the network communicate with each other. We're going to talk about some of the terminology that we're going to use in the course, just so that we understand how networks work and how devices send data between each other. Once we know the network basics, we're going to go to the next section, which is information gathering. In this section, we're going to talk about gathering information about our current network. So we're going to see how we can discover the devices connected to our network. We're going to learn what operating system they run on, their MAC address, their IP address, and other information that can help us try to hack these devices. Once we do that, we're going to go to the main section, which is the man-in-the-middle attack section, where we're going to talk about how these attacks work. So we're going to go into detail into the weakness that allow us to run these attacks, and then we're going to talk about the theory of each attack, and then run the practical attack against real devices in my network. These attacks basically will allow us to, as I said, steal all passwords, all URLs or cookies, images, videos, anything that the target device does. We'll also go one step further by hacking a device. So we're gonna see how we can gain full access to a device that is running Windows and that the device is gonna be within our network. Once we learn all these attacks, we're going to go to the final section where we're going to talk about detecting man-in-the-middle attacks and some solutions that we can use to detect and prevent these attacks. Now, I'd like to note also that I'm teaching all this stuff for education purposes only. I'm not teaching it to teach people how to hack other devices. The reason that I'm teaching this stuff is in order to be able to secure your network or your company's network, you need to know how hackers will attack it so that you can secure it. So this course is for educational purposes only, and all the attacks I'm going to be running them on my own devices inside my own network.